Hi, this is Nick, and this is my video about Angel V's Pico Balatro demo and all the various changes I've submitted for it on GitHub. About 2 months ago, I got hooked on Balatro like everybody else, and then about a month ago, I kind of rediscovered Pico 8. And as luck would have it, that was about the time Angel V put out the Pico 8 Balatro video, where he talks about making Pico Balatro from scratch. And as luck would have it, he also put it on GitHub. And in Pico 8, any game you download, you can just press escape and then get into the source code like right away. He said this was his introduction to Pico 8 programming, and you can see his programming style evolve a little bit here. It's like he goes by like array indexes here, but down here he uses all, and then down here he's treating tables like dictionaries by using pairs. And it makes me feel great when somebody does a beginner project and gets like this far in it, right? I got inspired and thought, let's see if there's anything I could add to it. The first thing, of course, I figured out was there's 52 card sprites here, and that is a little bit redundant. As it turns out, there's this PAL function that you could use to remap colors in any sprite. I removed all of the redundant graphics, freed up a lot of space for more sprites. So the next big problem I saw was the 32,000 point limit. The whole point of Balatro is number go up, so as it turns out, Pico 8 does support 32-bit integers, but in a sort of roundabout way. So I made a big score object to make it a little bit less roundabout. You still need special methods to print it or compare it, but it takes ordinary add and multiply operators. Now that's real Balatro. I'd seen Angel V's original video, so I understood the design behind all of the jocks, tarts, and plants, but I figured it's probably a good idea to put some mouse over tooltips. The description text was actually already in the code. There was just not anything displaying it yet, so that saved me a lot of time. Also, one of the many refactorings I did was to use object inheritance to consolidate code into various objects. So special obj described is used by the jocks, the tarts, and the plants. Another thing that makes it feel more like real Balatro is scoring animations. So this is going to be a little bit harder to explain here. In order for animations to work, I have to do stuff across multiple frames. And of course, update runs once a frame, draw runs once a frame. To run something across multiple frames, you need a coroutine that you could pause and resume. So normally the update routine just processes mouse input and then runs the game logic associated with that mouse input. But now before all that, it checks this animation variable to see whether there's some game logic already in progress. If there is, then it resumes that instead of running the update. And the coroutine is paused by this yield command. And since update runs once per frame, each yield command will pause for one frame. And I really only use that in this pause function that calls it in a loop. The play button clicked calls the score hand function as a coroutine so that it can pause itself so that animations can run. And indeed, the first thing that the score hand function does is it pauses to wait for the sound effects to stop, and then it loops through all the cards and then adds its chips and molts using these methods that I created that both apply the bonus and trigger an animation with this add sparkle. And all add sparkle does is it just adds the card's position to a table. The actual animation is handled by this draw sparkles routine in the draw function rather than the update function. So you don't even really need a coroutine in order to trigger this draw sparkles function. If I take the yield command out, it still runs the animation, but it doesn't really give you that dopamine number go up energy unless it pauses for each card. That's the stuff. Also, since I generalized the draw function, you can have cards that just kind of glide into place instead of snapping into place. A few versions ago, this sprite function was all I had. You don't need a coroutine for this to work. You just need it to update itself every frame. And of course, you're probably wondering how come draw at is in a separate method. Well, that is because the card objects are drawn a little bit differently, since the suits, the ranks, and the backgrounds have to all be drawn separately. I never thought I would get this far, but you can change the order of cards and they will still score correctly. And they will score in the correct order. The card movement animation does most of the work for me, since all I have to do is sort by X position and then redistribute the cards evenly, and then the movement code I just showed you will glide everything into the correct place. And I used Angel's insertion sort to sort by X. I just had to generalize it a little bit. So thanks a lot to Angel V. I've had a lot of fun pulling this code apart and putting it back together. I'm pretty sure that if I'd started this from scratch, I wouldn't have gotten this far. So thanks for getting it mostly feature complete so that I could put all these crazy embellishments on it. Thanks for accepting all of my pull requests. I have no idea what the actual etiquette is behind other people's GitHub projects. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make any more videos about this, but probably going to make a lot more pull requests though, because this is too much fun. I can't stop.